Auzubillahi minash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. Kama sallaita ala Ibrahima wa ala ali Ibrahima. Innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. Kama barakta ala Ibrahima wa ala ali Ibrahima. Innaka Hamidum Majid. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbana zidna ilma ya muqallibul qulub sabbit qalbi ala dinik. Ameen. Okay, today we'll do Surah Maoon, Makkiyah, having 7 verses in it. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. Have you not seen the person who denies the day of reckoning? فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدْعُ الْيَتِيمَ. It is he who pushes the orphans away, and وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ, who does not encourage feeding of the poor. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Destruction be for those worshippers who neglect their salah. الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Those who are ostentatious. الَّذِي هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ. And who refuse even minor articles. يَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاءُونَ. Yet refuse small kindness. So, in explanation, the writer said the Arabic word Maoon, translated above as minor articles, refers to things that are insignificant and which will barely decrease a person's wealth if he gives them away to others. This surah condemns 6 things which are contained in each of the 6 verses. Allah begins by saying, have you not seen the person who denies the day of reckoning? The first thing that Allah condemns in the surah is denying the advent of resurrection of Qiyamah. Of course, a person who denies Qiyamah is a kafir. Allah continues, it is he who pushes the orphan away and who does not encourage feeding of the poor. This verse describes the extreme miserliness of the person who denies Qiyamah. Not only is he too miserly to spend on the needy, but he does not even encourage others to do the same. Neither does he have mercy on orphans, nor on the poor. This verse tells us that harsh and merciless behavior can be a trait of only a kafir. A mu'min is endowed with a compassionate heart. He takes pity on the needy and is convinced that assisting them will have its reward in the hereafter. If a kafir has to render assistance to the needy, his deed is not to please Allah, and he has no expectation of reward in the hereafter. In Surah Haqqa, Allah Ta'ala describes a kafir who will suffer in Jahannam. Allah says, "Really, he never believed in the majestic Allah, and he never encouraged feeding the poor." Surah 69, verse 33 and 34. After describing 3 traits of the kafir, Allah Ta'ala mentions 3 traits of those people who claim to be Muslim but who do not practice deen properly. These people includes the munafiqeen as well as sincere mu'minin, who are lacking in the practical application of Islam in their lives. Allah says, destruction be for those worshippers who neglect their salah, those who are ostentatious and who refuse even minor articles. Allama ibn Kasir salam writes that those worshippers who neglect their salah refers to all the following categories of the people. Number 1, those who do not perform their salah at all. Number 2, those who are unaware of the times of salah and perform their salah at the incorrect time. Number 3, those who perform their salah without observing the conditions and fundamentals of salah. And lastly, those who are not attentive in their salah. Allama ibn Kasir alayhi writes further that those who have any number of these traits in them shall be deserving of the condemnation in proportion to the numbers of traits around in them. However, the person who has all these traits in him shall be deserving of the full force of condemnation of this verse. Such a person possesses all the traits of a munafiq, a hypocrite, even though he may not be one of the at heart. Bukhari and Muslim reports a hadith in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the salah of a munafiq is that he waits until the sun is between the horns of shaitan, before he hastily stands up for the Asr Salah and pecks at the ground 4 times. In such a Salah, he hardly thinks of Allah at all. Allah Ta'ala also mentioned that such people perform Salah for show. There are many such people who have no true concern for their Salah but merely perform their Salah because they fear that others may think ill of them if they neglect their Salah. They therefore perform Salah only to show others. Condemning this behavior of the munafiqeen in Surah Nisa, Allah Ta'ala says, "Indeed, the hypocrites seek to deceive Allah, whereas He deceives them. When they stand up in Salah, they stand up lazily, to be seen by people, and they remember Allah only a little therein." Surah number 4, verse number 142. A person who has faith in Allah and in His promises will perform his salah scrupulously. He will make no difference to them whether he performs salah in public or in private. In either, the salah will be meticulous. He will not regard human as being worthy of pleasing through ibadah. He will perform tahajjud salah sincerely without making statement like, "It was really freezing cold this morning when I got up for tahajjud." Just as some people boast about their physical act of worship, there are many people who insist that a plaque with their names should be displayed on masjid or classroom that they sponsor. Others insist that honorary titles should be attached to their names whenever their names are taken. There are also others who donate to people and then remain the recipients of their favor, thereby causing them hurt. Allah says in Surah Baqarah, "O you who believe, render not your charity in vain by reminders of your generosity or by injury like him who spends his wealth to be seen by people and believe not in Allah nor in the last day." His simulate this like that of a rock on which there is some sand. Smitten by a rainstorm, it is left bare. They have no control of anything which they earn, and Allah does not guide in disbelieving folk. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 264. One should bear in mind that the joy that enters one's heart after carrying out a good deed is not ostentatious. Similarly, carrying out a good deed in front of people does not necessarily entail ostentation. Ostentation is a condition of the heart which spurs one to do something so that people may think highly of one and praise one. Foolish are those people whom Shaitan has fooled into believing that they should not perform salah with Jummah, because it is a public and a public acts donate ostentation. An act done publicly will be regarded as ostentation only when one's purpose is to promote one's image. If one intends only to please Allah. The act may be private or public. Of course, a good deed carried out privately is better. Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 271, if you make your charity apparent, then this is good. But if you secretly give it to the poor, it will be better for you and atone for some of your sins. Allah is informed of what you do. The fact that this verse describes giving charity publicly as good means that no harm is done by doing so, as long as one is sincere. The third trait of some people that Allah condemns is that they refuse even minor articles. These articles, Maoon, are such that allowing others to use them will neither cause one loss nor harm, nor will the article itself be tainted. When Hazrat Abdullah bin Masood ta'ala anhu was asked what these articles were, he replied that they were those things that people usually borrowed from each other, like hammers, pots, buckets, scales, etc. Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas ta'ala anhu also described Maoon as article used domestically. Hazrat Ikramah alayhi salam gave examples of Maoon as strainers, buckets, and needles. Other commentators have interpreted refuse even minor articles to mean that these people refuse to pay the obligatory zakah. Because the salah performs for show is not a salah for Allah, performing such a salah donates an act of miserliness towards Allah, who deserves such better after mentioning this miserliness in even ibadah. Allah speaks out miserliness with one's wealth when He condemns those people who refuse even minor articles. If a person refuses to lend article to others, which will cause no loss to him whatsoever, how can such a person be expected to part with other things? Failure to pay zakah is also a terrible act of miserliness, because Allah is instructing one to part with only 1/4, 2.5%, one of the wealth after having it with one of an entire year, expressing reluctance and delaying it, giving something minor to someone is tantamount to not giving at all. Minor act like giving a matchstick to someone to light a stove, or lending someone a Quran or a mat for Salah will earn one great reward, and refusing these things will be a source of tremendous deprivation, even though one will lose nothing. It is indeed tragic that there are some people who are extremely miserly and who would refuse even such insignificant things. Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha once asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that things may not be refused. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, water, salt, and fire. Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha said, we understand people's need for water. What about fire and salt? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, the person who gives fire will receive the reward of giving in charity everything that the fire cooks, and the person who gives salt will receive the reward of giving in charity all the food that the salt gives flavor to. Allah Akbar. The person who gives a Momin a sip of water in a place where water is available is like one who frees a slave. A person who gives a Momin a sip of water in a place of where water is not available is like one who has given life to a person. Narrated by Mishkat, page number 260. Hazrat Abu Zar Raziyallahu ta'ala anhu narrates that that he heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, smiling with your Muslim brother is sadaqah, charity. Enjoying good is sadaqah. Forbidding evil is sadaqah. Guiding a lost person is sadaqah. Assisting a person with weak eyesight is sadaqah. Removing a stone, thorn, or bone from the road is sadaqah. And pouring water from your bucket into your brother's bucket is also sadaqah. Narrated by Mishkat, page number 169. वाखिर दावाना अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन अल्लाहुम्मा अग़फ़िर लिल-मुस्लिमीन वल-मुस्लिमात वल-मुमिनीन वल-मुमिनात अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू।